Hello and welcome back to the Mighty Blues. My name is Cameron, of course, and today we are going to be discussing the effect that Marcel Brands has had on Everton Football Club since his arrival this summer. Now, Marcel Brands come in as the Director of Football this summer, replacing Steve Walsh, who was obviously the previous Director of Football while Ronald Koeman was managing Everton. And I think it's quite clear that the effect Marcel Brands has had on Everton is already more significant than the effect that Steve Walsh had on Everton. Now, Steve Walsh and players like Gylfi Sigurdsson, Jordan Pickford, Davy Klaassen in his time as Everton Sporting Director, or Director of Football should I say, and Marcel Brands has obviously signed Yerry Mina, Andre Gomez, Bernard, Richarlison, you know, the players that we signed this summer. And I just wanted to discuss in this video the difference in our approach to signings from when we had Steve Walsh to now that we've got Marcel Brands. Now, it's clear that under Steve Walsh things didn't work out at Everton. He was brought in as this Director of Football. People didn't really know what a Director of Football was. I don't really think Steve Walsh knew what a Director of Football was. But he was brought in to sort of be the middleman in between the manager and Bill Kenwright and Farhad Moshiri in terms of making signings, making deals happen, talking to players, trying to persuade players to come to Everton Football Club. Now, he's got a case that you could say he done well, but I think on the whole, as a Director of Football and being the sort of the man that is communicating with both the manager and the higher up board, I don't think he done it well. And I think it was sort of testament in the fact that people were calling for Steve Walsh to be sacked when they were calling for Ronald Koeman to be sacked. It wasn't just we need to sack Koeman, it was Walsh needs to go with him, it's not working. And I think it's clear that since Marcel Brands has come in, that's been different. Marcel Brands you very rarely see. I think we've seen 2 interviews with him on the Everton YouTube channel since he's arrived. He's got an office at Finch Farm and he's basically the middleman in the transfers. I believe that every single transfer that Everton signed this summer, every single player that Everton signed this summer, I don't know whether this is fact, this is just what I think. I think they all come from Marcel Brands, other than maybe Richarlison, who I think probably come from a little bit Marco Silva. But it's the partnership between Marco Silva and Marcel Brands that is the clear thing here that is making Everton the success this season in terms of transfers. That partnership is something that we never had with Steve Walsh and we never had with Ronald Koeman. They never had a direct partnership with each other to make them signings a possibility and to make the players that want to come to Everton arrive at Everton. Every player that we've seen sign this summer has all said that they've spoken to Marco Silva on the phone, and as soon as they spoke to Marco Silva, they wanted to join Everton Football Club, and that is amazing. But they've gone through Marcel Brands. Marcel Brands has been in the background there, and that's the Director of Football's job. A Director of Football is to sit in the middle between the board and the manager and to make the transfers and to hear both sides and to go off what the board are offering in terms of how much they're willing to pay, to go off what the manager wants in terms of a player and to go out and find that player, and Marcel Brands does that brilliantly. Like I said at the start of the video, I think it's very clear the difference that Marcel Brands has had on Everton in terms of the difference that Steve Walsh had on Everton. He's got a good relationship with Marco Silva, and they are clearly working together to bring these signings in, and Marco Silva is clearly a very good man manager, so he can handle the signings that Marcel Brands wants. Brands is often at games, he's often at Goodison Park, he travels away as well to watch Everton, and it's clear that whenever he's not at Everton games, Evertonians can be quite confident knowing that he's probably at home or in an office searching for the next signings for Everton. Obviously he doesn't just do signings as well, he also is in the background. I'm sure he's in the background observing training, observing the managerial structure. I'm sure he's involved in the stadium development in some way, shape or form, of observing how that goes. And I think it's overall he's just a brilliant appointment to have, to sit in between the club and to sort of not be the boss, because the boss is still Kenwright and Moshiri, and obviously the first team manager is Marco Silva, but be that man that people respect, and that is sort of directing this whole future at Everton Football Club that we want. Now, like I said before, a big part of the Ronald Koeman sacking was making sure Steve Walsh left as well, and I think, hopefully, touch wood that it doesn't go wrong for Marco Silva, but I think if it did, for whatever reason, I don't think fans would be calling for Marcel Brands' head as well, because I think Brands has established himself as his own sort of person at Everton and his own sort of role that he's moulded himself to, so fans know what they get out of Marcel Brands and they know what he's there to do, whereas Steve Walsh just felt like he was sort of a second man to Ronald Koeman, if you like. So obviously it's very clear the effect that Marcel Brands has had on Everton so far. He's brought in some top quality players. He didn't rush to bring them in as well. He brought them in on deadline day, a lot of them, and the players that he wanted he brought in, even if we had to wait to the wire. Now there's a difference with obviously Steve Walsh last season. We banded and tittered about for weeks and weeks about £2 million for Gylfi Sigurdsson, and we ended up signing him, but we wasted a lot of time. Whereas Marcel Brands went to Barcelona this year and said we want these players, and then the players actually wanted to join. It was only Barcelona that were sort of keeping the transfer back, but it's clear what Marcel Brands is trying to do with Steve Walsh in this squad, and that's obviously strengthen the centre halves, strengthen the left back like he's done, and bring us more attacking options so that Marco Silva can play his attacking brand of football that he's being brought into play. It's very clear that obviously when Steve Walsh come in, we signed midfielders, we signed Sigurdsson, and that, you know, we needed, don't get me wrong, great player, but we didn't really strengthen in the positions that we needed to strengthen, like centre half and like the full backs as well, left back being a major one. And it's clear that since Brands has come in, that's where we've strengthened. The first player he signed was a left back, and then we signed 2 centre halves, and he got these signings over the line. Obviously we also signed Richarlison and Bernard as well, but I think it was more important for Brands to get the defensive players over the line rather than the attacking players. And I think, as I say, the Richarlison transfer I think was imminent as soon as Marco Silva was announced as the manager, really. So it's quite clear the effect that Marcel Brands has had on Everton. He's brought in a structure, he's brought in an professionalism, and he's got the experience to know which players he should go for and what's going to mould well with this team. He knows that certain players will work well with Marco Silva's managerial style and certain players won't, and I think that really benefits Everton having somebody like that there to work, and not just somebody who was a head scout previously and has taken up this director of football role almost as if it's sort of just the same as a head scout and you just go and scout players, because that's really what it's not. It isn't. He's there to oversee the football and to make sure that everything is going right, and it obviously takes pressure off Ken Wright and the board as well, because there's somebody there that's overseeing that. They just have to plough in the money to back this project. I think under Marco Silva and Marcel Brands, Everton have got a brilliant future ahead of them, and I think we're looking at a really good set of players and bright set of players. And if anything, I can't wait till the next transfer window to see what they've got to bring in as well, because as I say, we've already strengthened in the positions we needed to strengthen in, and the players that we've got in so far are looking good. Richarlison's looking good. Obviously we'll see more Azuma against Rotherham on Wednesday night, and we'll see Mina when he comes in, Gomez when he comes in, and more of Bernard as well. So I think the effect that Marcel Brands has had on Everton is quite clear, especially considering the amount of time that Steve Walsh was at Everton, compared to obviously only the few months that Marcel Brands has been at Everton. He already seems to have kicked the ground running a lot more than Steve Walsh seemed to do when he was at Everton. But we'll have to see. Let me know in the comment section down below what you think about the Marcel Brands appointment, whether you think a director of football is necessary in this day and age, whether you think Marcel Brands is the man for the job, whether you think his relationship with Marco Silva is just as good as I think it is, and that them two together can really drive the football club. It's sort of like the muscle and the hustle, really, isn't it? Marcel Brands is the hustle, Marco Silva's the muscle there to obviously push Everton forward and reach that Champions League spot that we've been looking for the last few years. Before I end the video, I want to give a congratulations to Richarlison, obviously being called up for the Brazil national team today. He did say, as I said in a previous video, he said last week that his 3 aims for this season are to get top goal scorer, be called up to the Brazil national team, and to get in the Champions League with Everton. He's already joined top goal scorer and he's been called to the Brazil national team. So far he's got 2 of them goals. He only needs the 1, and if he gets that other one, then I'll be over the moon myself, to be honest. But yeah, congratulations to him. Obviously it's getting to that point with international football now where players start to get brought into the team, countries start to bring new fresh young players, because obviously it's the first international break since the season started, and the different countries have had their chance to look at the young players at the start of their seasons in the different leagues, and obviously Richarlison has impressed the Brazil national team, so congratulations to him. As I say, leave your comments down below as to what you think of Marcel Brands and the effect he's had on the Blues. I will see you guys in the Rotherham review, which will be out tomorrow. Hope you have enjoyed. If you have, do drop a like. If you feel like subscribing because you love the Blues, subscribe, and I'll see you guys soon.
Marching